Hi, this is Robert with Way2CPA on Delagify, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies about accounting, Stranger Than Fiction. Okay, there's accounting-related spoilers ahead when I watch the movie and comment on how realistic its accounting is.
89 times 1,417.
126,113.
That adds up.
Okay, so auditors almost never use mental math, and they certainly wouldn't do it in the course of an audit. The reason being, you have to have a record of all of the work that you did as an auditor, and you can't do that if you added the two numbers together in your head. What you would expect to see more often is some type of software that does it for you, like Galvanize or Excel. That'll keep a record of everything that you've done. Alternatively, you could run a tape. And what running a tape is, it's the calculators that spit out the numbers as you're entering them in. That just shows I typed in the number and got this total. I compared this total to what was reported. I should say the IRS has one more trick up their sleeve. They have some software that automatically recalculates almost the entire tax return right off the bat, and all of that gets done before an auditor ever looks at the tax return. The auditor might still have to do some addition and subtraction when they're looking at specialized schedules or physically adding up receipts, but for the most part, the math is done by a computer with nobody ever having to look at it.
You miscreant!
I understand.
Oh, get bent! Taxman!
Taxman!
So is there somewhere else we could talk about this?
I don't think that Harold would be alone on this type of audit. Anna here has shown hostility when she filed her tax return, and she was probably pretty hostile when she was informed about her tax return. Right now, they're being extremely hostile with somebody pointing a knife at Harold. Your typical run-of-the-mill auditor doesn't put up with that stuff because the IRS has people to go into those dangerous situations. They're called special agents. Most of the time they're working on criminal investigations, but they can also be brought in to assist an auditor if that auditor feels there's a dangerous situation. Generally speaking, if there is a dangerous situation, that's a pretty big red flag that they should be investigating this for a criminal situation. It seems like Anna, with how aggressive she's been, might be the type of person who did commit criminal tax evasion, in which case a special agent criminal investigator would have been at the case from day one. I mean, Harold could also refer this to criminal investigators here. She's taking a frivolous tax position. She's extremely aggressive. It seems like it would probably be appropriate, but that's a judgment call for him to make.
I'm just not such a big fan of the percentage that the government uses for national defense, corporate bailouts, and campaign discretionary funds. So I didn't pay those taxes.
The number one frivolous tax position on the IRS website is people not paying their taxes to make a political statement like Anna is here. A frivolous tax position is a tax position that has no merit, and there's a special penalty that gets assessed for these positions. The logic behind this argument is that you are exercising your First Amendment right of free speech, and you're expressing that by not paying your taxes. That might sound logical, but the courts have looked into this, and the courts have determined, no, you have to pay taxes. Paying taxes does not infringe on your free speech. It is a requirement, and the IRS is allowed to collect them from you.
You can't just not pay your taxes.
Yes, I can.
You can if you want to get audited.
Only if I recognize your right to audit me, Mr. Crick.
Ms. Pascal, I'm right here auditing you.
They don't necessarily have to audit Anna to get that money back. They might just send her an assessment. What probably happened is they looked at all the information in her tax file and made the determination. It is a tightly guarded secret how the IRS selects cases for audit, but simply not paying your taxes doesn't guarantee you an audit, but it may increase your chances or risk of an audit.
How many stairs in the hallway out there? What bank you work at?
No bank, IRS agent.
It's really funny. People with type A personalities are accountants. Ha ha ha.
I think I owe you an apology.
Really?
IRS agents. We're given rigorous aptitude tests before we can work. Unfortunately for you, we aren't tested on tact or good manners, so I apologize.
Actually, this is not true. The IRS does test their field agents for tact. If you're not good at talking to people, you can't audit them effectively. Auditing takes a lot of conversations with your auditee to understand what's going on and understand what you're seeing there. If you're bad at that, you're likely going to either A, not do that job, or B, get a lot of training to make you good at that job.
What's this?
My files.
What?
My tax files.
You keep your files like this?
No, actually, I'm quite fastidious. I put them in this box just to screw with you.
So what Anna's doing is a very common technique. We call it buffaloing. And what it is when you give an auditor so much information that they can't possibly process it all, so they can't get to the truth of the situation. There's a couple of ways to deal with this. The first way is what Harold's doing here, and you just sift through it. You work harder as an auditor. You have to do a lot more work as an auditor. The second way, and what I prefer, is to break down your request to the auditee into smaller chunks. So instead of saying, Anna, give me all of your tax records, you would just say, hey, give me the tax records specifically for your deduction related to materials. Or give me your tax records related to rent. That way they can't give you a giant file of it. What they will sometimes try there is say, I already gave it to you, it's in the big box. But it's fair game as an auditor to say, yeah, maybe you already gave it to me, but I couldn't find it. Could you please point out the specific file that I asked for? And generally they'll comply.
Oh, how was it?
Miss Pascal, can I just ask you a question about this receipt?
It was fantastic.
Just wondering if this 9 is a 7.
Why would you ask the auditee what the receipt says? That's kind of silly. As an auditor, you have to have professional skepticism, which basically boils down to you must trust but verify the information that you're getting there. In this instance, he's trying to verify the deduction by looking at an external record. Now, of course, Anna is going to say it's whatever number it's supposed to be. She has no incentive to say, oh, Harold, you're absolutely right. I put the wrong number down from this receipt. Here, please take my money in taxes.
Eat a cookie.
I really can't.
Mr. Crick. You can't?
No. I mean, because see, it constitutes a gift. I'll purchase them. I'm happy to purchase them. How's that? And there are no issues. What?
Ooh, this is an awkward situation, and it happens all the time. Harold should not accept any gifts from Anna for 2 reasons. First of all, it's completely against the rules. An auditor has to maintain independence in appearance and form. So even accepting small gifts from your auditee, if it looks like they're trying to influence you, even if they didn't really influence you, if it looks like they're trying to influence you, that's enough for it to be a big no-no. Second, Anna has displayed a lot of hostility towards Harold. He doesn't know how those cookies were prepared. So they could be chock full of laxatives for all he knows, or something worse that makes him really sick.
You can't accept gifts, but you can give them?
Listen,
Oh, that seems a little inconsistent, doesn't it, Mr. Crick?
very
No,
inconsistent.
but I'll
Yes.
tell you what. I'll purchase them.
No.
No, really, I'd like to purchase them. What are they?
Flowers.
What?
I brought you flowers.
This happens in external audit all the time, especially with food. A lot of times management will want to reward their accounting department, and one way for them to do that is, say, bringing in food like lunch or donuts. And because you have these relationships between the auditor and the auditee, a lot of times the auditee wants to share it, and they want the auditor to be able to have it and enjoy it. And really, there's nothing nefarious there. There's generally no intent to try to bribe them. They're just trying to be nice in general. And it does hurt their feelings when you say no. I've had to say no in the past, and they don't like it. The trick around this is exactly what Harold did of, okay, you want to share donuts with me. tell you what, I, the auditor, am going to bring in the donuts, and then we can all share them together. That's a pretty easy way around this.
Rec section 1.469-2BI. Thanks.
All right, so this movie has some things that are good and some things that are not so good. On the minus side, the IRS probably wouldn't follow the steps that they did in this movie. My guess is that there'd be a criminal investigator early on in this case, although that's not always the case. Sometimes this could happen. Second, how auditors actually do audits isn't 100% accurate. We don't do mental math. We have to record everything. We have to take meticulous notes. On the plus side, they showed audit clients who give you way too much information and in an unorganized format. That happens all the time. And they also show what happens when an auditee tries to give a gift to an auditor. It is an awkward situation that shows up and really plays out pretty much how it played out in this movie. Overall, I would give it a B-. You could have gotten a better grade if you made accountants look cooler. You made this guy look kind of nerdy. I don't appreciate that. But it's a pretty good movie.
It's been a very revealing 10 seconds, Harold.
All right, so thanks for watching. Feel free to list a movie you'd like to see me critique down in the comments. This one came from a user recommendation, so thank you for that. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. It does really help me out here. And as a thank you in advance, here are some clips that remind me of busy season.
You okay?
The sound the paper made against the folder had the same tone as a wave scraping against sand. And when Harold thought about it, he listened to enough waves every day to constitute what he imagined to be a deep and endless ocean.